some PSAs, public service announcements via Dakich. I talked about this for a minute with Bobby Carpenter. I thought this was interesting. Travis Hunter, who is either the number 1 or number 2 player in the country, is a corner. He had committed to Florida State. Now, you got to understand something. Mike Norvell at Florida State got him an extension, but we all know that extensions don't really matter, do they? With college coaches. College coach will walk out on an extension. College coach will get fired after he just signed an extension. We all know the deal. But anyway, so Norvell gets this prize recruit. Well, guess what? Deion Sanders had promised the boys over at Barstool that he was going to have a surprise on signing day. And guess what happened? Travis Hunter flipped to Jackson State, where Neon Deion is the coach. Now, there's rumors out there that it's $1 million deal, NIL deal, and a lot of coaches are up in arms about it, but that's fine. But in talking to Bobby Carpenter, he made the point, and it's a very good point. You know, a lot of players have come from the 1AA, Division II, whatever you want, ranks, both in professional basketball and in the NFL. And you can name Walter Payton, best player I ever saw. A lot of people feel Jerry Rice is the best player they ever saw. There's a number of them. Carson Wentz, quarterback right here in Indianapolis, came from there. But anyway, it is a little different, though, now. The facilities are different. The training is different. The money is different, meaning Florida State had put all this money into all this stuff. It's going to be very interesting to see three things, actually. Number one, is this a trend? We saw it with a couple of people in college basketball, and it did not work out. One of the kids went to Howard and didn't work out. Didn't play, got hurt, whatever the deal was. It just didn't work out. It really hasn't worked out in college basketball. College football is different. A lot more players in the NFL. The second thing about this, not only is it a trend, but what does Deion Sanders do with this kid? What does Deion Sanders do? You're talking about the number 2 player coming out of high school. Generally, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would bet 95% of the number 2 players in high school that go to the Alabamas, the Ohio States, places like that, end up in the NFL. What does Deion Sanders do? Look, if this kid becomes a superstar, if this kid becomes a Heisman Trophy candidate, if this kid becomes a top 5 pick, experiment well with it. If he doesn't, what's that going to say? And then the third thing, and I think this actually should be the first thing, what does Deion Sanders do? You're telling me, prime time. The guy that I was a little bit older than him, but when we were all in college, right after college, Deion Sanders and Brian Bosworth were the first ones to really go individual for themselves. Now, it worked out fine for both. It worked out great for Deion Sanders. And the thing that I like about Deion Sanders, how do I put this? He's got this flash to him, right? But there's a seriousness about him. I think he got a degree in economics during his time at Florida State. Now, for me personally, maybe not for you, but for me personally, a guy that can barely add, a guy that got a D+ in finite math, the freshman math course at Indiana, so I had to major in telecommunications. I got a lot of respect for a guy that can go through, get an economics degree from a business school of a major university while being an All-American and while, at the time, playing baseball as well. So I have a ton of respect for Deion Sanders, but I am curious, and Bobby Carpenter just said this. You know, Mike Norvell is not on real great footing at Florida State. Made a little comeback in the season, signed a little extension, but you've got this persona of Deion Sanders hovering over you. He's over you. And he's winning football games 11-1, and he's turning number 1 recruits from Florida State. I think it's inevitable that Deion Sanders is the head coach at Florida State or is the head coach in the NFL, one of the two, if that's what he chooses to do. But I think this is interesting. I'm not sure this is going to be a trend. I'm anxious to see what happens with the kid, and I'm anxious to see what happens with Deion Sanders. Remember this. The Super Bowl is going to be in Las Vegas in 2024. The Super Bowl was in Indy a few years ago. Now, I'm not a guy anymore. I was divorced then, so I'd go out. I like going out then. Act like an idiot, go out. I was divorced, what I care? I had a girlfriend who had a boyfriend, that kind of thing, you know. Ended up marrying the girl, but that's, you know. And I'm the love of my life. So I got lucky as hell. But I know what these media guys and all these people that are sitting out there being so judgmental on Urban Meyer. And you think Vegas? You put this crew in Vegas. This crew, these coaches. This crew, these media guys. This crew, these personnel people. They get it on here in Indianapolis during the Combine. Indianapolis. Downtown Indianapolis is not exactly Vegas. So I'm anxious to see how this whole thing's transpire. Remember I told you this, 2024 is not that far off. Ferris Bueller said it best, life comes at you fast, baby. 2024 will be here before you know it. Remember this, don't bet on the Super Bowl until the day of the Super Bowl. Man of the Year years ago was a corner. I think his name was Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. Man of the Year. Got arrested soliciting a prostitute night before the Super Bowl. Big old center for the Raiders. Disappeared night before the Super Bowl. Don't bet the 2024 Super Bowl until the game day. And watch the blotter. For all these sanctimonious guys, all these guys, well, Urban Meyer's an adulterer. Yeah, okay. Just watch the blotter. All right, the mad crapper. That's what we call DeAndre Hopkins here. When DeAndre Hopkins, stud wide receiver, was coming out of Clemson and he came here to the Combine, he and a wide receiver from Rutgers, for whatever the reason, I think I talked about this the other day, decided to shit up an entire hotel room, throw it on the wall, do all this really sick stuff. So we refer to him as the mad crapper. Like Grandpa Polian told the Colts, don't draft him, all that kind of stuff. And you really couldn't in Indianapolis. So the mad crapper went a little bit later. The mad crapper has now become a really good NFL player, DeAndre Hopkins. And the mad crapper is out for the season, and that's a big deal, and I'll tell you why. He may come back for the playoffs. But without the mad crapper, the most explosive, fun offense in the NFL is not as explosive and not as fun. Like, I absolutely loved watching Kyler Murray the other day. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins did a whole lot. A couple catches in the second half. Rondale Moore's a stud. They're going to have to get him the ball more. But when I watch the NFL, I like to see scoring. I like to see you dropping back and throwing the ball if it's not Jonathan Taylor rushing the ball. So the mad crapper being out, I don't like. I want my DeAndre Hopkins jumping up in the crowd. But it is a big deal, and it does shift the balance of power in the NFC. In the NFC, you basically have the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Rams, and the Cardinals. Cardinals beat the Rams, Rams beat the Cardinals, decimated Cardinals team, was good enough, tough enough, strong enough to go get that done, and that was good. But without the mad crapper, I'm not so sure. Texas A&M at one point was the number one recruiting class in the country. I think Alabama beat them. Does it really matter? How much does this really matter? Well, I think it matters a lot. Like, there are certain things as you go through coaching that you learn that you really didn't know. And one of them is this: momentum in your program. Now, what does that mean? Well, Urban Meyer and his program in Jacksonville never had momentum. It was always this. Any jump up was met with two steps back. Never really got momentum. Never really got like juice going. Well, momentum's hard to recover when you don't have it. Because what happens is, and you guys know this, what happens is the media jumps on the negative story. 57-year-old white guy, the easiest guy in the world to bully, believe me, I know. But the truth of the matter is, there's momentum among your fans when you're number one. I don't know if that's going to mean Texas A&M is going to win national championship. I pretty much know it's going to mean that Alabama is going to play for the national championship, if not win it, depending on who's won it too. But the truth of the matter is that's big time for Jimbo Fisher, because Jimbo Fisher's been pretty smart. Every time a name comes out, or a name school comes out, Jimbo Fisher's agent gets on the horn and, hey, look, what would you offer? And then Jimbo Fisher's agent releases it and tells everybody he turned down $57 million, $87 million, $110 million. That can wear on a fan base. Remember this, big donors have egos too. Big donors are sitting there going, yeah, what now? Huh? You're sniffing around LSU, Jimbo? Didn't I just build you a new facility? You told me it's going to be here. It wears on you. It does. So Jimbo Fisher, now he got number 1, number 2 recruiting class. So in his case, it does matter. I'll tell you who else in case it matters, Mike Krzyzewski. Mike Krzyzewski's never won when his players haven't been better than the other team. He's always had to have better players. I digress. ESPN, monster hit piece on Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Indiana Pacers. Rick Carlisle was the head coach, won a championship with Dirk and Kidd and those guys back in the Dallas days. Since then, it hasn't gone great. He's got a star in Luka Doncic who's become a big fat guy. So anyway, years later, now I guess a year or two later, they're doing a hit piece on the relationship between Luka Doncic and Rick Carlisle and what happened. Well, everybody knows what happened. Rick Carlisle is the only white guy to be hired in the NBA. And I know this for a fact. ESPN in their basketball seminar said, look, we're not telling anything but diverse stories. Rick Carlisle's an easy guy to come after, right? Rick Carlisle made Luka Doncic. Rick Carlisle got rid of a kid named Dennis Smith who was a ball-hogging guard that, frankly, is mediocre at best. Luka Doncic was buddies with Smith. The coach, who, by the way, played and won NBA championships, understood that the two, even though they were friends, didn't need to be together. So he got rid of Smith. I guess he embarrassed him according to the soft-ass world of NBA players. Doncic, a 21-year-old, didn't like how, quote, Carlisle treated other people. Who the hell is it for a 21-year-old? How about we don't evaluate? How about we just participate? So what happens? Doncic gets fat. Carlisle gets mad. Carlisle is forced out. Next thing you know, Doncic, what does he do? He gets really fat. 30 pounds overweight. What happens when you get fat in the NBA? You get hurt. What's Doncic? He's hurt. The big bad wolf was gone. The big bad wolf. Oh, the mean guy, Rick Carlisle. And by the way, I'm no great Rick Carlisle fan. He beat us in '84. He was playing at Virginia. I was playing at Indiana. He beat us in the Elite Eight. I turned the ball over. He missed a free throw. We missed a jump shot. They beat us. Still a bad memory that I think about every day. So I'm not a big Carlisle fan, but I get tired of these hit pieces. Years after, right? Years after, he told some player that just got kicked out of a game, get the F out of here, you got 2 points. Well, he should have told that player that. Why is it so bad that a coach understands that if a kid like Luka Doncic is left to his own devices, he's going to get fat, and it's not going to be productive? Why? Why is that so bad? You didn't have to do that with Michael Jordan. You didn't have to do that with Magic Johnson. You didn't have to do that with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You didn't have to do that with Karl Malone, John Stockton. You didn't have to do that with Scottie Pippen. But you had to do that with Luka Doncic, and the coach that did it with Luka Doncic and made him great is the bad guy because Luka Doncic didn't get to do what Luka Doncic wanted to do. My ass. Man, drive you nuts. So now Luka Doncic sits his ass on a sideline last night because he's too fat, and when you're too fat in the NBA, you get hurt. Don't tell me Luka Doncic's going to be one of the all-time greats. All-time greats in the NBA get better. All-time greats develop a hook shot like Magic, a jump shot like Magic, a step back, and a post game like Bird, an all-around game, shooting the basketball like we saw last night with LeBron. LeBron ever fat? Hell no. Got to coach guys differently. Can't coach everybody the same. You can't kiss everybody's ass. Us Serbians will eat. We'll eat. We'll drink Šljivo. We'll have beers with the boys. I never smoked, but every Serbian I know smokes. Get out of here with that crap, ESPN. That's just a hit piece, an easy one, an unfair one.